Hello, welcome to Bentley's Backwoods Bushcraft, and this is Richard. So today's topic is going to be about thinking about what you're doing out in a survival situation. So the saying goes, you can go 3 seconds without thinking. You can go 3 minutes without breathing. You can go 3 hours without shelter. You can go 3 days without water. And you can go 3 weeks without food. And I have to agree with that. From my experience, I think the most important thing about that whole topic is experience. People in general, and when I say people, I'm generally talking about those of us who enjoy going outdoors and practicing survival skills, or just like to camp or anything to that nature. I think a lot of times we get stuck a little bit lacking in experience. I think we confuse knowledge and skill and experience, and I think we jumble them all together when they're completely different things. So I would say that the best possible way of continuing to think about your situation is to gain experience in those situations. If you stop with just study, being knowledge, if you stop there, you don't really gain experience. You gain knowledge. Even though knowledge is awesome, it is far lacking when it comes to realistic survival. And knowledge being either book or video education. And a lot of people stop there and think they're okay. And I don't have anything wrong with that. I disagree with it. I don't think they're going to be okay. Maybe they'll get lucky. Although I don't believe in luck, but who knows? Then there's people who take knowledge a little bit further and go into the skill level. And these are the people who practice to some degree the knowledge that they have. For example, fire starting. They'll learn to work a bow drill, or they'll learn to work hand drill, or a ferro rod, or a flint and steel. They'll learn to work them, but in ideal conditions and in comfort. They won't work or learn these skills in a challenging situation. And then they gain skill that way, but not necessarily knowledge. And then you have the group of people who I really hope that I'm this third group of people. I can't say that I am for sure, but I really hope that I am. Then you have the group of people who actually have the knowledge, they've progressed it into a skill, and then they take that skill and they actually go out and they physically put themselves in a situation where they can maybe not comfortable, maybe not ideal, but they learn and they train by doing. there's far fewer of those people than they are the rest of them put together, I think. So I have to honestly say that maybe my experience is limited, and I will give you that. But from my experience, I am not horribly concerned if it comes down to a real life situation. I am not horribly concerned about me having the lack of knowledge, skill, or experience, which is the 3 seconds of thinking. I think I'm okay with that. I think where I'm at, I'm not in a bad situation. The breathing issue, you go 3 minutes without breathing. As long as I don't go underwater or place myself in a confined space, that I don't have to worry about that. Now, if for some reason I get stuck underwater, then I got a problem, but that's neither here nor there. As long as I don't get myself stuck in a confined space, being a cave-in in a cave that completely seals off my oxygen, or in a real-life situation, maybe more of an urban situation, if something ever did happen and I decided to climb down into a cement block underground that has a lid on it, and I decide to close the lid and end up sealing myself in there by accident and suffocating, I guess that's a possibility. But I'm not horribly concerned about that situation either. So the first two are out of the way. Is 3 hours without shelter. Now we've got, again, I'm not the greatest. I'm definitely not the worst at it, but I'm pretty confident that even if I don't have any gear with me, I know from experience I can build shelter. So the 3 hours without shelter, I'm pretty confident with that one, and I don't have a whole lot of serious concern about not being able to build a shelter. So we've got the 3 seconds of thinking, 3 minutes of breathing, and the 3 hours for shelter. So then we go with the 3 days of water. Now, I live in a swamp. Now, the water may not be fantastic in this area, but there is plenty of it here. So I only need to be able to purify the water that we do have. And there again, I have many skills with that, and the only concern, my concern is not about being able to purify the water and make it drinkable. I'm pretty confident that I can do that. My only concern would be getting the water. And around here I don't really have too much of an issue with finding and getting water. So I'm not going to be horribly concerned about that at this point. Now the last one. 3 weeks without food. Now, I don't know how many, and I can honestly say, I don't know any, I've never met a single person that's literally gone 3 weeks without food. At least, not unless they did it by choice. I don't really know anybody that's ever done it by choice either. Even in this country, even the lowest man on the totem pole, the extreme homeless person and I've talked to many of them. I've never even known any of them going that long without food. Now, in a survival situation, when there's no shelters to go to get food, and there's no way to obtain food freely, like pretty much like we have here, it may get more difficult. But honestly, I've never gone 3 weeks without food, and to be totally honest, I'm never gonna do it on purpose. Yeah, I don't see the sense in that. That's not training. I don't see that as training. I just think that's ridiculous. You'll never catch me purposely going without food just to see what it's like to go without food. That ain't gonna happen. But in a real life survival situation, if I have to bug out and place myself in a situation where the only food I'm ever going to get is the food that I get for myself, it could come to that. Now, they say you can go 3 weeks without food, but that's not going to be a healthy 3 weeks. And if I go 3 weeks without food, I'm probably going to be too tired, too exhausted, and too out of shape to be trying to find food in the first place if I go that long. But this one is the one that really concerns me the most about a real life situation. Honestly, this one right here is my biggest concern, is food. And I only say that because with my experience of going out and doing survival skills, building camps, building shelters, staying out in the woods, food is the one thing that always seems to be the biggest issue for me. And it probably will be for everybody. You know, I've done a lot of research and gained knowledge about what it would take realistically for a person to literally survive in the woods simply by hunting and gathering. And believe me, that's not something that most of us, or even experienced people, are going to be capable of doing. The amount of meat that we would have to gather on a daily basis is probably for 99% of us not doable. For one, there's two big things. First of all, if a real situation ever occurred, most people today don't truly have the skills to really go hunting and gathering. Oh, woodpecker. Okay, it flew away before I could get the camera turned around to it. But anyway, most people don't have the skills, even people who train. And I don't really know a whole lot of people that go out in the woods and literally hunt and gather everything that they eat all the time. And there's plenty of people who do it, I'm sure. But even in the survival community, it's probably a lot more rare than a lot of people think. But if we were to do it because we had to, first of all, you're going to have to find a large amount of game, which most of us are not going to be able to do. But yes, absolutely, for me, food is the most concerning situation. And like I said, it's not really necessarily a lack of knowledge, skill, or experience when it comes to gathering food. There's no way that I would be able to gather enough of plant life to sustain me long term. There's no way I could probably hunt to sustain myself, hunting and trapping, only because of two big things. One, there's really just not that much game around here to sustain people, and even more so with the amount of people that would be doing it. I live in a small town, but even if you lived in a town of 20 or 30 people and you had a decent sized woods, if everybody went out hunting and gathering for everything in a life-threatening situation, that game is going to disappear, and pretty quick. Which is why I am a firm believer that mobility is the best way to survive a real end-of-the-world situation. People who think that they are going to be able to permanently bug in and survive may be able to do so if they live far enough away from people that they wouldn't be encountered. But if you're going to get found, I don't really see that as a serious and viable option, because people, individuals, are nice and good, absolutely. Groups of people are not. You get people together in groups and they become horrible, nasty, cruel, violent, and just downright not nice people. You combine that with a lack of resources, and that's even going to progress even further. I really, even nowadays, I don't look for the good in people. And in an end of the world situation, I would in no way ever trust or expect to see kindness from people. Now, if it happens, it happens. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying I'm not going to expect it. And I'm definitely not going to be naive enough to think everybody I find, or even most people I find, are going to be kind-hearted people, because I don't think they will be. We're not kind-hearted as a group now, and I definitely don't see it happening then. I've watched a lot of the survival shows. When they first started all these survival shows, they would, like preppers and things of that nature, they would show these people, and there were several of them that, kind of maintained this sort of hippie attitude about how, peace and love and community and all this was going to sustain people. No. You might find a few people that will abide by that, but I guarantee you're going to find somebody that's going to come in there and take advantage of your niceness and your kindness, and you're going to be lucky if when they leave you alive. Because at best, they're going to take everything you have and they're going to leave you there to die. At worst, they'll just kill you off right there. Maybe that's best. Maybe that's better than leaving you there to die. But I've watched a lot of these shows, and people were like, no, we don't have any guns, and we're not going to have them, and we're going to have a garden, and we're going to share it with our neighbors, and it's going to be great, and everybody's going to come together, and they're going to form this really wonderful community, and people that come by, they can share in our in our wealth in this garden and in our hospitality and blah, 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 blah. And you know what I say to that? And you may think me cruel and mean, but those are the first people that are going to die. They're not going to have to worry about surviving very long in an end of the world situation. I can tell you that right now.